The Gift of Going Home, a reflection on gratitude, roots, and the grace of being held. You are listening to Empower Mind Talk, navigating mental health, strength, and belonging. And let me tell you something, this is a real soul talk. I am your host, Maureen, a life and purpose coach, mental health advocate, Asia coach, author, and a fellow traveler on this winding path of healing, identity, and homecoming. Welcome back, dear souls, to Empower Mind Talk. This is a space where we slow down, where we breathe before we speak, where we allow ourselves to feel what our busy lives rarely makes room for. Today, I want to talk about gratitude, not the gratitude of lists, not the gratitude of discipline, but the gratitude that moves through you like a warm river, the kind that brings tears to your eyes, not from sadness, but from fulfillment. That is where I am today. And I want to share these with you. So settle in and let's begin. For those who have observed a little bit keenly, they have realized that I've been off for a while. 2 weeks ago, I landed in Kenya, not just as someone coming back to a country, but as a daughter returning to her roots, as a woman returning to herself. And there is something that happens when you go home, truly home, that no amount of success, no stage, no title can replicate. The soil knows you. The air recognizes you. And somewhere deep inside, something exhales. I have lived in Germany for over 2 decades. I have built a life here. I have my family here, my husband. I am raising my sons here. I have found my voice here in Germany. But Kenya is where my bones were made. And this trip reminded me of just that. I want to tell you what this trip held, because sometimes gratitude is not abstract as we might think. Sometimes gratitude has faces and names and, of course, moments you will carry forever. And I would like to take you through some moments that I am carrying with me. I sat with my mom. I looked into her eyes. I held her hands, and I remembered who I am because of her. I spent time with my siblings. We laughed. We remembered. We were children again for a moment. And that is a gift you cannot buy. I visited my grandmother. She looked at me the way only grandmothers can, with a gaze that says, I knew you before you knew yourself. And guess what? She is right. I ran a workshop, the Strong Woman Trap in Nairobi, with women who were ready, who showed up, who cried, who laughed, who danced to music, who released, and who walked out standing differently. That room was sacred. I launched my first book in Kenya or in Africa, and my 5th book altogether, Ubuntu in Action, the African Way. My words now in the world, and offering a love letter to the philosophy that really changed my life. I ran to Citizen TV for an interview with Diaspora Connect. I spoke my truth on air, and somewhere someone was listening who needed to hear exactly those words. I was part of a podcast, someone else's microphone, someone else's community, and I showed up fully. I spent time with myself, alone, in the quiet, without agenda, without a to-do list, just me. And the vision of myself I am still becoming. I got grounded. I felt love. I met incredible women and men, people who saw me, people who believed in the vision. I built a team, real people with real commitments, coming together for something bigger than any one of us. I created a circle of powerful women who will carry the Ubuntu spirit into every room they enter. All these in 2 weeks. And I am nothing but filled with gratitude. Now let's get a little deeper. What gratitude is actually really like? What is gratitude when I talk about gratitude? Let me get a little deeper here and try to explain. We talk about gratitude often. We write gratitude lists. We journal. We post it on Instagram. And those things are beautiful and they matter. But I want to speak about a deeper gratitude, the kind that lives in the body, the kind that makes you press your hand on your chest and whisper, Asante sana. Thank you. Thank you deeply. True gratitude is not performative. It is not the gratitude that says, look at how positive I am. True gratitude is the one that lives after pain, after longing, after years of building what others could not see. Gratitude is what happens when you finally receive what you once only dared to dream. And I dreamed of this trip. I dreamed of standing on that stage in Nairobi. I dreamed of holding my 5th book in my hands, published in Kenya, in the Kenyan soil, on the African soil, with the Kenyan people. And I stood there and I held it and I wept, not from sadness, but from fulfillment. Let me now get to maybe connecting Ubuntu and gratitude and maybe some Swahili. And this is just an Ubuntu in action part. Mtu ni watu. A person is people. Ubuntu teaches us that we do not arrive alone, that our joy is not ours alone, that when one of us rises, something in the collective rises too. This trip was not just my gift, it was a gift for every woman in that workshop room who released something she had been carrying for so long. It was a gift for every listener on Citizen TV who heard the word Ubuntu and felt something stir. It was a gift for every woman in the circle we created who now knows she is not alone. Gratitude multiplies when it's shared. That is Ubuntu way. And so I share it with you here now on this podcast because you are part of this community and your journey matters to me. And for those who live in the diaspora, there is power of returning to your roots because there is a particular weight we carry, the weight of being between worlds, the weight of belonging and not fully belonging everywhere. And then you go home. And you remember, this is where my story began. This is where I learned to love. This is where I first understood that community is not a concept. It is a way of breathing. Going home is not about going backwards. It is about gathering yourself before you go forward another step or take that next step. I came back to German different, not changed, but gathered, more certain of who I am, more rooted in what I am building, more grateful for every difficult year that was quietly preparing me for this moment. And I have an invitation for you that maybe would lead to you getting to know where that route is, that maybe you might need for your next step. Whenever you are or wherever you are listening to this, I want to ask you something gently. When did you last go home? Not necessarily a physical place. When did you last return to the version of yourself that existed before the pressure, before the titles, before the performance? When did you last sit with someone who knew you before you became who you are today or who you are now and loved you just the same? When did you last let yourself feel full? Gratitude begins with permission to feel, permission to receive, permission to say, this is good. I am allowed to have this. So I give you that permission today, or better, give yourself that permission today and look at your life, not at what is missing, but at what is present. The breath you are taking right now, the ears that are hearing this, the people who have shown up for you, even imperfectly, even briefly, they count. Because gratitude is not a bypass for pain. I want to say that clearly. You do not have to be grateful instead of grieving. You do not have to perform positivity when something inside you is still healing. But here is what research and lived experience teaches us. Gratitude practiced with honesty, not as a mask, but as a lens, shifts the nervous system. It tells the brain, I am safe enough to notice beauty. I am alive enough to receive. I am here. Even in the hard seasons, there is always something small to hold. So find it. Find that something. Name it. Name that something and let it matter. And in the full seasons, like the one I just lived, let the gratitude move all the way through you. Do not rush past it. Do not immediately jump to the next goal. Pause. Stay in the gift a little longer. Just a little longer. And enjoy that moment. As I close today, I want to say something directly to you. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting this space with your time, your attention, and sometimes your tears. I do not take that lightly. This podcast exists because of Ubuntu, because I believe we are stronger together, because I believe your voice matters, because I believe healing is not a destination, it is a direction. Asante sana. Thank you from the depth of my heart. And if you love this podcast in this space, share this episode with someone who needs to be reminded that their lives hold more beauty than they are currently allowing themselves to see. Subscribe to Empower Mind Talk. Leave a review if this space has helped you. And come find me at Motivated by Maureen 1 on Instagram, where the conversation is allowed to continue. Until next time, may you feel rooted, may you feel held, may you allow yourself to be full. Nakupenda, I love you, Ubuntu.